What? But before we start, you need to subscribe our channel because I need 100 subscribers before monsoon hits. So help me reach this goal. So hello everyone, this is Easy Automation here. So as you know, we have talked about the latch and latch concept in our previous video. So now in this video, we are going to solve some problems based on that concept. And the complexity hierarchy will go from low level to high level programming. So let's start with our first program. So the problem statement is, hello, who is this? This is Al Habibi, and I want a PLC program for my factory in which there are 4 push buttons and 3 outputs. I want to turn on my first output by my first push button, and second output by second push button, and third output by third push button. And if I press my fourth push button, then our all outputs should go off. So my friend, create this program and send me on my email. I will give you 200 dirhams for this. Okay, I will try. So now you know the problem statement in which we are going to turn on our outputs by 3 push buttons and we are going to turn off those outputs by our fourth push button. And if you know about push buttons, then you definitely know about their functions. Like whenever we push the button, we need to release that one. We can't push that button for so long time. Like whenever there is a function which is running for 24 hours, we can't hold that button pushed for 24 hours. So let's create one program which can reduce our effort. So let's start with the program. So as Al Habibi said, we need to have 4 rungs and I will add 4 contacts here which are going to act like push buttons, and we are going to have some latch instructions here for 3 outputs, and we are going to give the branch instruction here, and I will add unlatch instructions in that, and I will just extend this branch up and add one another unlatch instruction here. So now I think you are getting some idea that we are going to turn on this output by this push button, and this output by this push button, and this output by this push button, and we are going to turn off these all outputs by these unlatch instructions and this fourth input. So let's give them addresses. Now I have given addresses to our 4 push buttons and our 3 outputs. And to unlatch or turn off these outputs, we need to drag these output addresses to our unlatch instructions like this. So I have dragged all these output addresses to these unlatch instructions here. So now let's check our program. So now our program is in ideal conditions. It means no any output is on or no any push button is pressed. So now let's press our first push button. So I have pressed this first push button and release this one. Then our first output will turn on here, and if I press our second push button and release that one, then our second output will turn on here, and if I press our third push button, then our third output will go on, and release this one, then also our output is on. So our first 3 conditions were satisfied here, but as Al Habibi said, we need to turn off these all 3 outputs by a fourth push button. So now let's check that one. So if I press our fourth push button and release this one, then our all 3 outputs will go off because I have used here unlatch instructions. And if you don't know about latch and latch concept, then go and watch my previous video where I talked about these latch and latch concept. So now let's call Al Habibi and give this program to him so that we get our money. So hello. Hello, Habibi, easy. We have one problem in our factory. What's happening there? So, Habibi, as I told you before, we have 4 push buttons in our factory. But now I have realized that we have only 2 push buttons in our factory. So now create that program for 2 push buttons only. And the operating condition should be like whenever I press my first push button for first time, then our first output should go on. And if I press that same push button for second time, then our second output should go on. And if I press that same push button for third time, then our third output should go on. And by the second push button, all 3 outputs should go off. So my friend, please create this program now. Sorry for your inconvenience. I will pay you more money for this. Bye. So boys, we have one problem here. So now we need to edit this program. So as Al Habibi said, we have only 2 push buttons now, and our first push button is used for turning on all the outputs, and our second push button is used for turning off all the outputs. So let's create this program here. So I will just go offline. So now let's create that program. So to create that program, I think we need one triggering instruction here, but we didn't cover that concept yet. So I will just create one triggering instructions same like what we did for our remote program operation. So now we have only two push buttons here. So let's delete all this program. So now we need to create this program for two push buttons. So for this one, we need five rungs. I will just add these five rungs here. And in our first rung, I will just create the trigger pulse. So to create that trigger pulse, you need to use the memory bits. So this logic will be used for creating the trigger pulse. So now let's create the logic for outputs. So to turn on the outputs, we need three latch instructions here. So I will just add three latch instructions here. And to turn on these latch instructions, we need NO contacts along with them. So I will add three NO contacts with them. And now our program is ready for turning on all the three outputs. But we need to turn off those outputs as well. So now I will create that logic here. So I will add one NO contact here and one branch instruction, and I will just extend this branch up, and I will add three unlatch instructions inside those branches. So now our program is ready, but we need to give the addresses. So I will just give the address here. So now I have addressed all the instructions in this program. Like I used this input address for first push button, this input address for second push button, and these three latch instructions for our output addresses. And I have created one trigger pulse here, which will be used for turning on these outputs. And if you look closer in this program, you will find one problem here, that whenever we give the trigger pulse from here, the trigger pulse will come here, and which will turn on all the outputs at a time. And we don't want that, because as Al-Habibi said, he want to turn on this first output using first trigger pulse, and this second output by second trigger pulse, and this third output by third trigger pulse. So for that one, we need to create the interlocks between these two rungs, so that these two outputs should not go on with our first output. So for that, we need to add one NO contact here and one NO contact here. And to create the interlock, we need to drag this output one's address for this NO contact and second output's address for this NO contact. So now what will happen here is, whenever I give our first trigger pulse, that trigger pulse will come here for these NO contacts, but the trigger pulse will only turn on this first output, because I have created one interlock between our second output and third output. So that's why our trigger pulse will only turn on our first output for first triggering pulse. So now let's check our program. So now our program is in ideal condition, where our all inputs and outputs are off. So let's check our program. So as Al-Habibi said, we need to press our first push button for first time. So now I have pressed our first push button for first time, and I will just release this one. Then you can see our first output is on. And if I press this same push button for second time and release this one, then our second output is on here. And if I press this same push button for third time and release this one, then our third output is on here, as Al-Habibi said. But we have one another push button here, which will be used for turning off these all outputs. So let's press this one and release this one. Then you can see our all outputs have gone off, and our program is ready to deliver. So now I think we are going to get our money. But before that, you need to know why I used our first output for third rung and second output for second rung and third output for first rung. And to know this, you have only one option, that you can create this same program, but you need to address this latch instruction for first output, this latch instruction for second output, this latch instruction for third. You will find the answer. Brother, we have one problem now. So what happened now? So brother, I have lost my money in casino gambling. So that's why I need to cut down my money for this project. What? Yes, my brother, yes. So now you have only one push button and two outputs. But you need to turn on our first output by pressing the push button for first time, and second output by pressing that same push button for second time. And you need to turn off those outputs by pressing that same push button for third time. So now create this program for me. I will not cut your money, brother. Brother, do this for me. Okay, man, I will try. So now, as you know, Al Habibi is going bankrupt, but he has only one push button and two outputs now. So let's create that program here. So for creating that program, we need to first delete these all rungs, and I will just keep this trigger pulse logic as it is, because we have only one push button here. So I will just use this push button for turning on all the outputs. So to turn on the outputs, instructions, we need to add two rungs here like this, and we need to add two latch instructions for these rungs and two NO contacts for the same. And to create the interlock, we need to add one NO contact here, and to turn off these latch instructions, we need to add one rung here, and we need to add one branch instruction inside it, and we need to add the unlatch instructions for this branch, and we need to add one NO contact for this rung. And to create one interlock for this rung, we need to add one NO contact here. So now I will just address all these instructions. So now I have addressed all the instructions. Like for this NO contact, I have used the push button address, and for these latch instructions, I have used the output addresses, but I think the program has some problem. So let's check. So whenever I push and release the push button for first time, then our output 1 should go on, and whenever I push that same button for second time, then our second output should go on, and if I press that same push button and release that one for third time, then our output should go off. But here our output 1 is going off and turning on again because the trigger pulse is not going off before our output goes off. So now we need to create one difference here. So for that we need to add one rung here, and we need to add one NO contact here, and we need to drag this NO contact for this difference rung, and we need to add one output coil here, and we need to address this by one memory bit, and for this NO contact we need to give the trigger pulse address. And now we need to give this address to our this NO contact because this address will create the difference. So now let's go download. So now our program is in ideal condition in which our all outputs and inputs are off. So now let's check our program. So as Al Habibi said, whenever we press and release our push button for first time, then our output 1 should go on. I will just press and release this one, then our output 1 is on. And if we press this same push button for second time, so press and release, then our output 2 is on. And if we press that same push button for third time, then our outputs should go off. So our outputs are off. So now we are ready to deliver this program to Al Habibi. So let's call Al Habibi and get some money. Hello, Al Habibi speaking. Did you created the program? Yes, sir. We are ready to deliver the program. But where is my money? So you need to send that program on email. I will send you the money by Hawala. No, sir. Send me that money on my account, not Hawala. Okay. I will send that money to your bank account. Bye. Oh, sorry. What is your account number? Thank you, sir. Thank you. I hope you will give me some more projects in future. Definitely, my friend. Definitely. Bye. So I hope you got the point and took the notes. And if you didn't got any point in this program, then feel free to ask in the comment section. I will always be there to answer your questions, and share this video to your friends and colleagues so that they can solve the problems easily. And subscribe if you are interested in PLC programming and automation. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video. Till then, keep exploring my previous videos. Bye.